ಹಾಯ್ ಹಲೋ ನಮಸ್ತೆ. ನೀಡ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಚಿಲ್ಡ್ರನ್ಗೆ ಸ್ವಾಗತ. ನಲ್ಮೆಯ SSLC ವಿದ್ಯಾರ್ಥಿಗಳೇ, ಹಿಂದಿನ ವಿಡಿಯೋದಲ್ಲಿ ಮಲ್ಟಿಪಲ್ ಚಾಯ್ಸ್ ಕ್ವಶನ್ಸ್ ಮತ್ತೆ ಒನ್ ವರ್ಡ್ ಆನ್ಸರ್ಸ್ಗೆ ಸಂಬಂಧಪಟ್ಟಂತೆ ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟೆಡ್ ಕ್ವಶನ್ಸ್ಗಳ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ವಿ ಗೆಟ್ ದ ಇನ್ಫಾರ್ಮೇಶನ್. ಲೆಟ್ಸ್ ಕಮ್ ಟು ಇನ್ ದಿಸ್ ವಿಡಿಯೋದಲ್ಲಿ ವಿ ಆರ್ ಗೋಯಿಂಗ್ ಟು ಗೆಟ್ ದ ಇನ್ಫಾರ್ಮೇಶನ್ ಅಬೌಟ್ 2 marks questions, the most expected 2 marks questions from 2019 to 2022. So let's come to which are the questions and what are the answers for those questions. History questions, 2 marks questions. Here is the question: the advent of Europeans to India. From this lesson, how did trade take place between India and Europe during Middle Ages? Even this question can be also asked like this: how Constantinople was the center of international business and considered as the gate of European trade? Answer for this question: the Arab merchants carried the Asian merchandise into Constantinople. Italian merchants would buy these goods at Constantinople and then sell in European countries. Like this, Constantinople was the center of international business and considered as the gate of European trade. What were the effects of capturing Constantinople by Turks? All the trade routes of Constantinople came under the control of Turks. The Turks started levying too many taxes on the goods of these routes. As a result, the merchants felt that the trade was not profitable. This encouraged finding new sea routes. The next, discuss the reasons that resulted in the discovery of new sea route to India. Even this question can be also like this: why did Europeans to find out the alternative routes to India? Answer: European kings encouraged courageous sailors to overcome the Italian monopoly over the trade. The Ottoman Turks captured Constantinople in 1453. The invention of compass, astrolabes and gunpowder provide future impetus to discovery of new sea routes to India. Next, what were the reasons for the Battle of Buxar? Mir Qasim declared that the business was duty free in Bengal. As a result, the British trade suffered considerably. Mir Jafar opposed the British. The British removed him and appointed Mir Qasim. Mir Qasim went for an organized war against British. The next, what were the results of Battle of Buxar? Shah Alam II accepted the Diwani to British over Bengal. Shah Alam II gave away all rights over Bengal to British for an annual fee of 26 lakh rupees. The Nawab of Awadh had to give 50 lakh rupees fine for waging the war. The company paid pension to his son and took over the entire administration of Bengal. Secured right of revenue collection through dual government. And the next, describe the system of dual government. Robert Clive implemented the dual government policy. English were collecting the land revenue, administration, importing of justice and other administrative functions were carried on by the Nawab. Next question, that is from the next lesson. 2 marks question: the extension of the British rule. What were the methods British adopted to expand their empire? Waging wars, subsidiary alliance system, doctrine of lapse policy, divide and rule policy. The next question: Explain the reasons for the first Anglo-Maratha war. Emperor gave Kora and Allahabad to Marathas, which he had earlier given them to British. This resulted in the enmity between Marathas and the British. Narayan Rao was murdered by his uncle Raghoba or Raghunath Rao. This resulted in the fighting for the Peshwa post. The Maratha Federation brought Madhavrao II of Narayana Rao to the post of Peshwa. Upset with this development, Raghoba approached the British for support. The next question, what were the reasons for the Third Anglo-Maratha War? Maratha families tried their best to protect their independence and honour. The Peshwa attacked the British residency in Pune and burnt it down. Appa Saheb of Nagpur and Malhar Rao Holkar rebelled against the British and were suppressed ruthlessly. Finally, Peshwa Bhaji Rao II fought against the British at Korengan and Asti and later surrendered to the British. What were the effects of Third Anglo-Maratha War? The British abolished the Peshwa post. They granted a person to Bhajirao II. They installed Pratap Simha, the descendant of Shivaji, as the ruler of Sathara. So next question from the next lesson, that is post-independent India. What were the problems faced in independent India? The answer, communal clashes, refugees problems, the integration of princely states, developing economic system, challenge of creating own constitution, creating own government. Next question, how did the nation face refuse problem? How did nation face refugee problem? The government of India started the refugees camp in West Bengal, Assam, Meghalaya and Tripura. The government helped the refugees with the necessary benefits and built their lives. Most of the Bangladesh refugees attempted to settle in Bengal. Government of Karnataka sanctioned 3,000 acres of land to Tibetan refugees at Bailukuppe. Next question. Why is Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel called the Iron Man of India? Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel made 1947 Integration Act. There were 562 princely states in India in the time of independence. A privy purse based on the province's income to merge them to carry to country. The government of India sent its military and defeated some kings. Vallabhbhai Patel's firm decision made successful in the integration of princely states in Indian Union. Explain the way Pondicherry liberated from the French. Answer, Indian National Congress started an agitation. The communist and other organizations also urged for the liberation of Pondicherry. Finally, France government left the India. How Hyderabad province was merged with Indian Union. Hyderabad state was ruled by Nizam. He wanted to remain independent and refused to join the independent India. Meanwhile, under the leadership of communists, the farmers of the state revolted against the Nizam and Zamindars. The people, angry with cruel army called Razaks, which had the patronage of Nizam. The government of India sent its military to fight Hyderabad and defeated the Nizam and integrated Hyderabad into India in 1948. How did Junagadh merged with India? The Nawab of Junagadh had signed the agreement to join state of Pakistan. His citizens revolted against him and flooded the streets. The king fled from the kingdom. The Diwan requested Indian government to military to Junagadh to maintain the law and order. Later, Junagadh joined India in 1949. How was Goa liberated from Portuguese? A movement was held to protect against the Portuguese occupation of Goa. Portuguese brought more army from Africa and Europe. Satyagrahis from all over India entered Goa. The Indian military entered Goa and took over its administration on 1961. Explain the process of state reorganization based on language. Sir, formation of states based on languages was desired by the people. After the death of Potti Sri Ramulu, who died after 54 days of hunger strike demanding. For Vishalandra, the demand for language-based state reorganization went up. As a result, Andhra Pradesh was formed in 1953. In 1953, reorganization of state commission was formed headed by Mr. Fazil Ali. Based on the report of this commission, State Reorganization Act was brought into effect. According to this act, 14 states and 6 union territories were formed. Next, why did leaders like Nehru think of making India a secular nation? Many communal clashes were started when India was partitioned in 1947. Millions of Hindus and Muslims died. 5 lakh people were killed. The property was forfeited. He thought of making India a secular nation by the horror communalism. Next question. Refugees have become a huge problem since the partition of India. Substantiate. Answer. 6 million refugees came to India in 1947. Lakhs of refugees came to India between 1947 and 1971. 10 lakh refugees came to India as a result of Bangla Vimochan movement in 1971. Tibetan had arrived to India as refugees during Nehru's time. 1,20,000 Tibetan refugees are in India. A major famines destroyed Indian financial security. Still, India showed humanitarian concern. These are the 2 marks questions from the history part. Let's move on to political science. So here is the political science part. Lesson: Foreign Policy of India. Why is India's stand on apartheid policy? Answer: India thinks that apartheid is inhuman. It violates human rights. It violates human rights. It is a threat to world peace and coexistence. No country should support this policy. Why does India oppose imperialism? It was natural for India, which gained its independence from an imperial country, to oppose such moves of other countries. No corner of the world shall have imperialism, declared India in the Conference of Asian Countries in 1949 and 1955, held in New Delhi and Bandung. Colonialism exploits a nation politically and economically. It hinders the religious and social aspirations of country. Why does India advocate disarmament as the need of the world? Eliminating arms and ammunition, gradually heavy competition in manufacturing, marketing and stocking arms. Fear of Third World War, fear of use of nuclear weapons. India is a peace-loving country, upholds the policy of world peace and mutual coexistence. So that's about the political science. Let's move on to sociology. 2 marks question, that is from the lesson Social Movements. Explain the nature of mob. Mob is a temporary assembly of people. The people assemble at a specific place. Members of mob are influenced very easily by mutual feelings, opinions and act. There is a possibility of display of suppressed feelings. These types of sources later turned into social movements. Explain the nature of mob violence. No minimum level of unity and aim, destruction of property and creates chaos, challenges law and order, communal clashes, racial conflicts and group clashes, occurs more frequently in towns and cities, limits only for short time, civilized and criminal intent of people. How can be a riot mob violence controlled? Mob violence is controllable through a good decisions, effective use of police, military and other agencies of the government. Name some environmental movements. Chipko movement, Appiko movement of Karnataka, Narmada Bachao Andolana, Silent Valley movement, Coastal Karnataka Environment movement. Why was Chipko movement launched? The government had issued license to cut 2,500 trees belonging to Rainy village of Tehri Garhwal district. The women decided to hug the trees in order to protect them so that environment remains protected. This movement of hugging is called as Chipko movement. Due to this movement, the permission given to cut the trees was withdrawn. Explain Appiko movement of Karnataka. Appiko movement was started by the villagers of Kalyani. The local people opposed the move of the contractor to cut trees in Kasla forest, Kalase forest. They stood hugging the trees. The people launched this movement to protect trees from smuggling. They also aimed at increasing awareness among the people about the importance of growing forest. Explain Narmada Bachao Andolan. The huge dam built across Narmada under the Sardar Sarovar project displaced local tribal people. As scientific studies found that the dam would affect the sensitive ecological balance of the river. The people agitated against the dam under the leadership of Medha Patkar has been going to for a long period. What are the demands of Raita Sangha in Karnataka? Scientific price fixation. The government should stop seizure of the properties of the farmers for their debts. Villages which lack infrastructure should be developed immediately. Villages should get their out of the resources extracted. Levy system should be stopped. Write a note on Silent Valley movement. A dam was proposed to build in the Silent Valley of Palghat of Kerala. The building of dam threatened the sensitive ecological balance of the Silent Valley. People from Kerala, Shastra Parishad and wildlife enthusiasts opposed this project. Finally, the movement was successful in installing the dam and protecting the Silent Valley's sensitive ecological balance. Write about Coastal Karnataka Environment Movement. People of Mangaluru opposed against the MRPL, opposed the establishment of Nandikuru thermal power plant. Movement against special economic zone. Explain movement opposing Kaiga nuclear power plant. This was started to oppose the establishment of Kaiga nuclear plant in Karwar district, Kaiga village. This was undertaken by the people of coastal Karnataka under the leadership of Shivarama Karant. This was caused vast deforestation and also the threat of pollution. Hence, the movement opposed the establishment of Kaiga nuclear reactor. Explain alcohol prohibition movement in Karnataka. Alcohol prohibition movement was started by women. Alcohol prohibition movement also become the part of Chipko movement. It was also become the part of the environmental movements that took place in coastal Karnataka and in Malenadu. Kusma Sorabha and others along with her have lost their lives. Apart from this, women have protested against sale of liquor in Hassan, Kolar, Mandya and Chamarajnagar district. Devraj Aras was a profounder of social change justified. Alcohol prohibition, he strived to bring various legal measures to free the downtrodden from the shackles of caste system. Measures were taken to free farmers from the clutches of tenancy system, abandoned bonded labor. Releasing the farmer from the debt, eradicate the practice of carrying night soil on the head. So that's the part of the sociology 2 marks question. Let's move on to geography part. Lesson Indian physiography. Which are the physical features of India? The northern mountain, the northern Great Plains, the peninsular plateau, the coastal plains and islands. Explain the importance of northern plain. Northern plain is a vast flat land, fertile alluvial soil, perennial rivers. It is suitable for irrigation and agriculture. It is also suitable for making roads and railways and means of communication, useful for industrialization, urbanization and trade. A number of pilgrim centers are located here. So this question may be asked for 2 marks as well as 3 marks. The peninsular plateau has great economic significance. Why? Peninsular plateau is rich in mineral, thick forest and biodiversity. It has influence on southwest monsoons. It is covered with black soil which is useful for agriculture. The Western Ghats are the birthplace of many South Indian rivers which are useful for the generation of hydroelectricity. Next question. State the importance of Himalayas. And even this question also can be asked for 3 marks or 2 marks. The Himalayas act as natural frontiers and prevent foreign invasion. They prevent the cold winds from the Central Asia. They obstruct the rain-bearing winds and this causes heavy rainfall. Their slopes have thick forests and ideal for plantation crops, example tea in Assam. They are a storehouse of minerals, the birthplace of many rivers and waterfalls which are used to generate hydroelectric power. Write the importance of the coastal plains. The coastal plains of India provide some natural harbors. The coastal plains are useful for fishing, shipbuilding, agriculture and production of salt. Many beaches are found along the coast and they attract tourists. The backwaters are useful for navigation. The next question. The western coast and eastern coast. Western coast. It lies between the Western Ghats and the Arabian Sea and extends from Gulf of Kutch to Cape of Comorin. It is divided into Malabar, Karnataka, Konkan, Gujarat coasts and Kutch of Kathiawar Peninsula. It is 1500 km. Mumbai, Mangaluru, Cochin, Kandla, Karwar are the important ports. Eastern coast. It lies between the Eastern Ghats and Bay of Bengal and extends from Kanyakumari to Gangetic Delta. It is divided into Coromandel coast in south and Utkal coast in north. It is wide and flat. It comprises the deltas of Mahanadi, Godavari, Krishna and Kaveri rivers. The next question. Distinguish between the Eastern Ghats and the Western Ghats. The Western Ghats. The Western Ghats are a continuous range running parallel to the west coast of India. They are higher than Eastern Ghats and continuous. Anaimudi is the highest peak. Anamudi is the highest peak in the South India. They extend from the Tapi Valley to Kanyakumari. Eastern Ghats. The Eastern Ghats run almost parallel to the east coast of India. They are lower than the Western Ghats and are not continuous. The highest peak in Eastern Ghats is Aramakonda. They extend from in Mahanadi Valley to the north. Next lesson, Indian water resources. State the importance of water resources. Human beings need for drinking, cooking, washing. Agriculture, generation of hydroelectricity, industries, navigation, fishing, etc. Write about rivers of North India. They are also known as the Himalayan rivers. The important rivers of North India are the Indus, the Ganges and the Brahmaputra. They flow throughout the year. Write about rivers of South India. They are also known as peninsular rivers. Most of them rises in the Western Ghats. East flowing Mahanadi, Godavari, Krishna, Kaveri. West flowing rivers are Narmada and Tapi. Explain the objectives of multi-purpose river valley projects. This question may ask 2 or 3 marks. It provides water for irrigation. It controls the floods. To generate hydroelectricity, to prevent soil erosion, to develop inland waterways and fishing, to provide recreation facilities, to provide water for domestic purposes and industries, to reclaim land for agriculture. Next question. Why is irrigation important in India? India is an agricultural country. Therefore, it needs a regular and sufficient supply of water. Agriculture in India depends mainly on monsoon rainfall. It's a seasonal, uncertain and unevenly distributed. There are certain crops which require a larger and regular water supply such as rice, sugarcane, etc. This can be provided only by irrigation, which is very essential in India. Next question. Mention its main types irrigation in India. Well irrigation, canal irrigation, tank irrigation, sprinkler irrigation and drip irrigation. India has more well irrigation system. Why? Either even this question can also be asked like this. Explain the importance of well irrigation. Well irrigation is possible even areas are low rainfall. It is a cheap and easy to dig wells. They do not require superior technology. It is easy even for small farmers to dig wells. Next question. Differentiate between the flood canal and perennial canal. Inundation canal. Water is drawn directly from the river through the canals without the help of any dams. When river level is high, the excess water passes through the canals. So these are called as flood canals. Perennial canals, dams constructed across the rivers and water is stored in the reservoirs. This water is provided for agriculture. This can be supplied throughout the year. The next question, lesson that is from the Indian land resources. Explain the intensive farming. Land is cultivated intensively throughout the year. Farmers try to raise 2 or more crops to get maximum production from the small and the land holdings. It is common in the fertile and irrigated areas of the country. A large amount of capital and labor are applied for land. Next question. Name the crop seasons of India. Kharif crop, Rabi crop, Zaid crop. Next question. India's climatic seasons are fairly related with crop seasons. Justify. Crops grown in rainy season are called Kharif crop season. The sowing begins in winter and harvested in March is called Rabi season. The crops are grown in between the Kharif and the Rabi crops are known as Zaid crops. So India's climatic seasons are thoroughly interrelated with each other. Explain how horticulture is helping economic development of India. Horticulture makes agriculture more profitable through efficient land use, optimum utilization of natural resources and generating skilled employment for the rural masses. It enhances exports and provides nutritional security. India, with its wide variety of climate and soil, has good potential for growing a variety of horticultural crops. How is Floriculture helpful for the development of Indian farmers. Increasing farmers' income, employment opportunities, providing employment of women, export of goods. Next lesson, Indian soils. Mention the main causes of soil erosion: deforestation, overgrazing, shifting cultivation, faulty methods of cultivation, use of topsoil for making bricks, tiles, etc. What are the effects of soil erosion? Loss of soil fertility and fall in agricultural productivity. It leads to silting and floods, change the course of rivers, and reduction of capacity of the reservoirs. Groundwater level is lowered and there is decreases in soil moisture. Vegetation covers the dries up and drought increase. Economy as whole suffers a great setback. The volume of water percolating down gets reduced. Natural springs dry up. How do you control soil erosion? Afforestation and reforestation, controlled overgrazing, canter farming, construction of check dams, counter bunding, gully control and bench terracing. So next, that's it about the geography, and the next part, that is economics. Development. First lesson, development. What is the aims of objectives of development? Improving people's well-being, increase in a country's capacity to serve the economic interests of its citizens, overcoming economic problems such as poverty, unemployment, inequality, inflation, etc. What factors involved in economic development? A process, an increase in real national income over a long period. What are the features of underdeveloped countries? High population growth, lower level of per capita income, lower productivity levels, stagnant situation in economy, levels of living of people are low, low income and poverty, lack of basic necessities of food, clothing and shelter. Per capita income cannot be true measure of development. Why? The increase in per capita income does not reveal the distribution of income among people, may not increase the standard of life. Per capita income does not take into the consideration the availability of education, food, health or other similar social factors. What are the indicators of human development? The Human Development Index is framed to measure longevity, knowledge and standard of living through three indicators, namely life expectancy, educational achievements, standard of living. Give a reason for low HDI of India: high population growth, lower level of per capita income, lower productivity levels, slow progress in economy, gender discrimination seen in various dimensions of Indian society, economy and polity, low income and poverty, health and hygiene facilities, clean environment yet not achieved, literacy rate still not crossed 80%. Next question. It is not appropriate to measure the nation's development through national income. Why? The total income of all the people residing in country is called as national income. Economic progress cannot take place with increasing population. Comparison of economic development between the two countries having different level of population is not appropriate. How to achieve gender inequality? Or even this question, it also can be asked like this: how can women empowerment be achieved? Many laws have been enacted to curb violence against women at home and at workplaces, to guarantee equal wages, providing reservation of seats in elected bodies, etc. Free and compulsory education to all, free health facilities to all. Self-help groups are being formed in all the villages and cities. After independence, our construction has assured equal freedom, equality of opportunities to both man and woman. Women self-help groups are support women empowerment justified. They are helpful to share their major resources. obtain external support, undertake business jointly to earn income. They are trained in managing accounts, handling bank transactions, and skill to take up remunerative income generating activities. SHGS have been instrumental in helping women to earn, save and spend at their willingness. Their dignity and authority has increased. Explain the dimensions of gender inequality in India. Sex ratio is very low, lower in child 0 to 6 years population, literacy rate among women is poor, they are working mainly in unorganized sectors, their wages are lower than the man, not many of them are seen in better and highly paid positions. So that's about economics. Let's move on to business study. Among that, consumer education and protection. What are the acts which protects consumer rights? Essential Commodities Act, Weights and Measures Act, Act Against the Adulteration of Food and Food Articles, the Consumer Protection Act 1986. Mention three stages of consumer court: district forum, state commission, national commission. What are the causes for consumer exploitation? When agricultural occupations developed, it changed the marketing methods. The direct transaction between the producer and consumer has almost stopped. The price fixation of goods and services was mostly done by the middlemen. It led to many hindrances. Consumer had to face various difficulties and problems. Consumers incurred many losses. What are the problems faced by consumers? Cheating in quality, weights, measures and price. Trade malpractices in the market. Production of goods which are hazardous to life and property. Problems arising during the purchase, goods and services. During this time, consumers are facing problems in seeking justice, compensation, lack of consumer education. Their price fixation of goods and services are mainly done by middlemen. Mention the major objectives, aims of the Consumer Protection Act. The Act accords importance for safety and quality. According to production and sale of dangerous goods, prevention of trade malpractices in the market, supervision on quality, weights and measures and price, compensation the consumers in case of any problems arising as a result of trade, creating awareness to the consumers through consumer education. Which consumer rights are promoted the consumer through the Consumer Protection Act? Right to safety, right to information, right to choice, right to heard, right to seek redressal against the unfair trade practices, right to consumer education, right to stop exploitation, right to healthy environment to enhance quality life. What are the informations in the complaint field in the consumer court? No prescribed performa to a file case. No complaint may be typed 1 or handwritten. The complaint should include the name and the no prescribed proforma to file a case. The complaint may be typed 1 or handwritten. The complaint should include the name of the person, complainant, full address and telephone number. The person or organization against whom the complaint is made should be mentioned clearly with address. The particulars of goods by which the loss has incurred and the amount of loss should be specified clearly. The bill or receipt should be enclosed. There is no free or stamp duty for complaint. No advocate or a lawyer is required. The consumer himself or herself can argue. So that's it about the 2 marks questions. I hope you have understood till now what we are discussed. In case if you are having any doubts or clarification, you can comment in the comment box and I will come back with next video with 3 marks question. Until, keep watching my channel. Thank you. Have a nice day. See you in the next session. Bye bye. Take care.